welcome to T-Bad's Trucks and Stuff. Today, I'm gonna get all this old oil coating stuff off here, scratch all the seam sealer off of everywhere, and get this cab ready for some primer and maybe paint the firewall. Maybe. We'll see how far I can get here. I haven't really found any good way to do this other than just going and scratching it off. Well, I've been scraping at her pretty good here. I got these, they're cleaned out pretty well. All these areas with the body seam sealer in it. Got a little further to go. And I did the inside as well, because at least there and way over there, it was getting some rust behind it. So I cleaned up all that as well. Now I'm going to get the vacuum over here and we'll clean out all these crumbs. Whoa! Yeah, we'll get all the crumbs cleaned out and we'll give this a cleaning. I'm going to try and clean it with an SOS pad and see if it'll do a little scuffing and cleaning at the same time. So, the SOS, nope, didn't have any. We got a regular steel wool here and dish soap. Well, that's gonna do a good job cleaning still. Clean and a scuff, all in one. That's what we're going for here. You can tell it is pretty aggressive. It takes the white paint down really fast. Oh, that's cleaning up pretty good, I think, there. Much more to go, but we'll just give this a quick dry in. But I think I got it pretty well, all the undercoat's gone off here. Not very much left to do. Before I paint it, I'm gonna have to treat these spots with the rust, with some kind of a rust converter probably. I'll do that, rust convert them, and then we'll try and get everything sealed off. Maybe I'll use some etching primer or something like that. Before I paint it, I'm gonna go spray the whole thing with epoxy primer to seal the whole thing with epoxy primer, and then I'll paint my color over top. But still, in the meantime, I want to seal off these other areas and areas like this, because it's gonna be a little bit before I can spray the gun with the epoxy primer. I can squirt little spray cans in here all day long, but getting the big paint gun out, I gotta tape everything off, and it gets pretty elaborate. Well, I got it fairly clean in here. I got the seam sealer scraped off and wiped away all the dust. Now I'm going to trim these pockets all the way to they're wide open so that I got full access to be able to paint everything inside there. So we'll cut that out, and then the rest of the areas in here I'm going to hit them with various grinding wheels and whatnot, get them as clean as I can, do a rust treatment, rust converter spray, and continue to prep it for paint. Right here is one of the few spots that they actually do a real little MIG weld when they assemble these trucks. Maybe I'll just get some pliers maybe to cut that. Use these tin snips to get them jammed in there somehow. There we go. I'm debating, but I might leave these pockets just cut out like this. That's how the one is on the back cab corner side. But if I leave it cut out like that, I have access everywhere in there to be able to make sure I keep it clean and clear it out. My only worry is all the holes in here. A lot of debris might end up flying up in there, which you definitely don't want that. But I'll continue to think and decide on that one in a little bit. For now, we'll get the other side matching this and then keep on cleaning. Well, I got my cab front support pockets. Both of them are trimmed right out now. I picked all the seam sealer out across the back, and I added a weld to the back side of there for more support. Still gonna go around with my little sanding disc and blend all that better. Also, I've been cleaning up the edges of the areas where there's little rust spots. And I found 2 holes up there. You can see with the little light dot on one of them. And that's the little rain trough up across the front here, where when it rains, all the weather, everything comes in here, runs across the front of this thing and down in these pockets and out the holes there. So this side, can we see? It's getting quite rusted along. It's the same type of thing why it rusted out like that. The seam sealer all dried out and peeled away. These little areas here are very similar. So I've been picking the seam sealer out of there everywhere that I can. I have a lot more to go in here. I'm gonna have to remove the entire wiper assembly to be able to do a good job cleaning it. There's a good shot of that little hole. But now's the time to do that, because a hole in there will leak down the inside of the floor and make everything do the same as it's been doing over here and rust out underneath your carpet from having a soggy carpet. So we're gonna keep on going, do a little grinding, blending. You can see these areas are turned like purple or really dark. All the areas with the rust. That's because at the end of the day, whenever I go in, I spray it with the rust converter spray here, just to prevent it from getting any worse. And it's really easy to just scuff off and clean for whenever I'm ready to paint, versus trying to spray more paint and getting a buildup of paint that I don't really need on there. But it's coming along quite well. Little bits more to go. Blending, grinding, feathering out all these edges of the rusted spots everywhere so that they see there's little bits on there. Probably being pretty picky doing all that, but I think that this part of the bodywork will be able to last long. The part I think is going to fail is the rocker panels, because the bottom of them is all crappy. The way that the slip-on ones fit, they replace the outside but not the bottom. So I have just pieced together the bottom of it. More to go here. We're gonna get another patch made up here for this spot here under the bottom of the rocker panel. And we have that, and then one of those on each side left to do, and that's the last of our patching. So I'm gonna get all that done here. I'm just gonna take a quick measurement of that, and then I'm gonna cut this piece out of, I think this is cab corner part of the B pillar off of a truck. I'm gonna cut the patch out of that for this one. And our patch will be, and go a little bit big. Let's go 6.5 by 3 3/8 with a 3/4 inch bend. So just doing this rough. I'm not really that picky. Nothing looks good down there anyways, right? The way that slip-on rocker goes over top of everything, there wasn't any way to repair the bottom nicely. So until it gets a real new rocker, which is gonna be like, I don't know, 5 years or maybe a little longer, see how long that lasts. But for now, a whole bunch of patches will do, because nobody will see it down there. I squiggled out that line and I still put a cut on it. But, oh well, we'll just weld that shut. Oops. Okay. Little panel. I gotta put a bend, just like a little angle on it there so it'll fit up and inside the little rocker area. I'm just gonna do that with a manual little brake there, clamp it in, bend it. But first I'll get it deburred, get a little bend in there, and then I'll see how it fits. There we go. That one turned out very nice. Bent. This side was bent already, but that bend, very good one. When you do big long ones, they don't always turn out nice and sharp like that. Well, I ran out of weld through primer, but I still want a little bit of paint on these areas that I scuffed up in between. Ugh. So I'm just going to give them a really thin layer of this self-etching primer. And it should be thin enough that I can do little spot welds through it just fine. So I'll just let that dry. I'll prep up the other area there, get the welder ready, and weld her in. One less hole in there. Well, I got the patch on there. If you noticed right up there in the front, my alignment went off, and I had too many clamps in the way. I didn't see it, so I had to add a little bit to fill that in. But it's no worse than the rest. These rockers they really require like the factory style rocker to be done nicely. But that counts as not having a hole in there anymore. Do something like this. Yeah, that'll do. I got one of those for both sides, so I'll get those two welded in, and then we'll go look over all the patches. I think that's the last of the patching. So those seams being nice and tight, that'll just prevent stuff from getting stuck in there. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to seal everything yet. If I'm going to just seal it on the inside so stuff don't get caught, and then leave it outside, I don't know yet. Not decided on that. But that does cover up the hole, so I'll repeat that procedure over on the other side. Well, I've been scrubbing, picking in these little cracks, getting all the seam sealer out of the cracks, sanding off any edges of the paint that were rough, getting the rust as deep down there as I can, and curing it with that rust converter stuff. I got it very, very clean here. I just gave it a wipe down with some grease and wax remover. Well, I think I want to do a little tiny bit more right there. But since the paint's been sanded and stuff, it's getting very, very thin. And just this stuff on a piece of paper towel now is it eating away at the paint and eating right through it. So that's gonna make sure that I don't have edges that are flaking up or nothing like that. If I do have any, I'm gonna go back and repair them before my final paint job. But
This stuff really slows me down because I don't know when to stop sometimes when I'm trying to clean these areas. I know I want to stop when I start removing the paint outside of the rusted area because I don't want to be doing that. But picking and cleaning and picking and cleaning and picking and cleaning, you're just going forever doing it. But I think I got it acceptable. I can't see any more seam sealer. If there is little cruds of stuff, this is going to make it show. And this, I'm going to scuff this and paint it all again with epoxy primer and then the white paint and give it all a very nice finish. This is more to protect these areas and make them feel more finished to me while I continue around doing this all over the cab, because once I'm done here, I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to sand my welds down, fix little pinholes, sand them, fix them, and then I'll spray them. Get everything covered up and no more metal showing. And yeah, it's a lot of work on this thing, but as long as we stay at her, we're getting her done. So get a little paint on there and then on to the next bit. This is a self-etching primer, and I think if that happens, I think that's me spraying it too thick, because where I spray it thin, it goes much better. So I think that's my fault doing that. So I'll try and do it in more thin coats, and then hopefully I get a better, more even result there in the end. Which it doesn't matter if it does that, right? I'm gonna sand it and fix it anyways. But for practicing my painting technique, that's why I gotta try and do the right thickness of coats, because I tend to like very thick paint coats. I don't know why, but I just like it that way. I put a whole bunch on right to the edge of running. But if I take my time and do these thinner coats, I can probably get some better finishing results. Maybe there's something on there. Maybe there's a little bit of that coating, the oil coating that was on there. It's making it do that. So it did it come right back there. Thought the wax and grease remover would have removed that, but it's possible it didn't. Got a couple runs, couple little things behind the paint there, a little something there. That one looks like dirt in the paint, but not a big deal. I'll clean that off whenever I do the next paint. I do have a little primer sealer kind of debating. I don't know that I should really use it right here. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at the self-etching primer for right now. Go around, get all of it to self-etching primer, and then we'll see what to do next. That'll be sealed plenty well for me to just continue working in the garage. This paint's easy to sand. I'm just gonna whip through it with a piece of Scotch-Brite whenever I'm ready to paint. And it shouldn't take much at all to have it all prepped up, ready to go. So next is grind welds, grind, fix, and paint all the way around. It's gonna feel real good when this is all done though. A lot of work, but it's gonna feel good when it's done. Okay, well, put a good dent in there. So I got all 4 of my corners, I ground them down, got some primer on them. They're protected from the elements now, and the rough part of the weld's all ground off of there. I still got quite a bit more to go. I got all the inside and on the back wall, there's all kinds of scratch marks. And I gotta do inside up here in this little rain trough thing. I had to get all the rust out of everywhere and get it to a prepped surface like this so I can get ready to be able to paint. I'll have to remove this and all the windshield wiper assembly. So still further to go, but come on in. I'll show you some up close of how it turned out, and you can see it really makes quite a difference after I've cleaned all that out, scrubbed it down. You can't even really tell where I wore it to bare paint. Maybe some spots you can, but not too many. So yeah, come on in here, take a look at this. So we cleaned her up pretty well. All across the seam there. This area was really bad, was all the way down to nothing. But that paint should be adhered very well. The areas like this, where there's obviously something on there, that's not that big a deal because I'm going to wipe it down with wax and grease remover again. And it basically wipes the paint off if you stay scrubbing too long. So there's that seam. All these seams are turning out quite well. I want to get the paint in there pretty deep before any seam sealer gets in, so that's why I'm doing this coat of paint And then I'll scuff it down and do the epoxy primer too. My corners, they ground up pretty good. More blending to do where the door seal goes. And the runs in the paint will come out in the next session of prepping. These little areas where it's lower, that'll get taken care of with Bondo. You can see it kind of goes up in and out, but it's very close, so Bondo over top of that, it's not going to take very much to do a nice job blending it in. Again, pretty good results. We only got a tiny bit to blend in. I trimmed this down, whacked it tight with the body hammer there. Again, that one, it doesn't look very nice, but a little bit of Bondo over top, some more blending, plus the door seal goes in there. No big deal. Up here, this part was thin. I blew a hole up over in this area and I had to fill it back in. Like, not perfect match, but that don't matter. It's still stronger than when it was all rusted out. So we're getting some good progress. Well, that's gonna do it for this video. Cleaning up the firewall here, getting the seam sealer out, getting a couple of them final patches on. We got her done pretty good. We got the outside all around a good once over on her. Now we got to get the inside. We got to get the back wall. We got to get the rain trough. So I still got quite a few more hours work prepping the rest of this cab here to get it all up to the same point. And then we're going to spray it, paint everything up at this level, the firewall and the floor inside and out. Then we're going to bring it down low and we're going to be able to take care of the roof after that. So that's going to do it for this video, and I'll do one more video probably on the rest of my prep work on the inside, and then we'll be getting closer and closer to painting. But if you got any tips for me, leave them down there. It's always good to know different ways of doing this. I'm just learning and doing stuff as I go. I tend to do it differently every single time because I don't know which way is the best. I'm always deciding a different way. So it's coming. We're learning. This truck's gonna last a lot longer than it ever would have if I didn't take all this time to do this. And really, I'm not worried about how long it takes. This is the fun part of doing the job, is having it here, having it in my garage, getting to weld on it, getting to learn. Doing all this, that's the fun part of restoring this vehicle. Once it's done, I'm going to drive it around, and then I get a whole nother process of learning on dialing it in and getting it to perform properly. But this one here, it's good to take our time and learn and get the little spots. No point in rushing through it. I'm very happy with the way it's looking. It really makes me feel better getting it covered up and seeing a nice smooth surface. It's not peeling on the edges. It's looking like it gets, yeah, like, I don't know what to say here. Gonna get me to the end though. I'm gonna see what I want to see when I'm done. I'm not doing it all for nothing. Like, I'm not worried about that showing. Like, who cares? There's no hole there, and I'm gonna get to drive my truck when it's done. So make sure you check back in. Lots and lots more to go. The weather's getting nice. I'm gonna pull the cover off the 96 Power Stroke diesel in maybe a week or two and get my 2018 150 out of the shed, so we're gonna get some other trucks around, and then we're gonna be able to get this back to becoming a truck soon enough. So cheers.